Is Booktok ruining reading? I don't know. Booktok really isn't anything new. It's definitely not the greatest. Next. Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name's Els. I'm very excited for today's video because it is very different from most of my other content, and that is the critique of reading, specifically on Booktok. In case you didn't know, I'm an English major and I'm currently working on my honors thesis. My studies especially focus on Renaissance lit and early novels, so I read a lot of Shakespeare and Austen, and so today I'm really excited to take that and apply it to something that I've seen a lot of discourse about recently and on YouTube and TikTok especially, and I just want to add my 2 cents. So let's get started. Before we get started, I do want to clear up my definition of novels, just that we're all on the same page. My research shows that the novel is a literary form that gained popularity in the 18th century for its holistic depictions of the human nature. In his book, The Theory of the Novel, George Lukács writes, "The novel seeks, by giving form, to uncover and construct the concealed totality of life." So essentially, what I'm trying to say is that this is a novel, 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 this is a novel. You get the picture. So essentially, the novel is anything that seeks to create a full depiction of human life, including inner thoughts and feelings. So my argument is that the rise of Booktok has led to an increase in self-publishing and marketing around tropes. It has also contributed to a culture of fast fiction, aka the mass consumption of novels. What I'm really saying, Booktok really isn't anything new, it's just different. TikTok has allowed for a massive rise in self-publishing because now authors get to market their own books as opposed to having to hire a literary agent. Self-publishing is great because it does allow for authors to get their work out there, and while it doesn't always mean lower quality work, it does usually mean fewer efforts in terms of editing and a weaker plot, which is totally okay sometimes. It's definitely not the greatest. That being said, an author's goal will always be and has always been to make money, to put their stories out there, and to write. And so an author is actually going to try to have a good book. No real author is going to intentionally publish a book that is bad. When the novel became really popular, with it came circulating libraries. So you could go and pay 2 guineas to join the circulating library, and every month or every few weeks they would get new books and you could check them out and read them. This led to a lot of book clubs, book discussions, book groups. Nowadays we have pretty much the equivalent, which is Kindle Unlimited, and authors still have the same goal now that they did back then, which is to get their readers to love their book so much that they actually go and buy it. For reference, back then, again, circulating library was 2 guineas and to own a book was 1 guinea, usually. For reference, this data all comes from my Austen class. I'm not sure what a Kindle Unlimited subscription costs. A book can be anywhere from $10 to $20. Again, an author's goal is to have a book that is so good that their readers are going to want to pick it up again. And this has been the case for as long as novels and circulating libraries have existed, which is quite a long time. Self-publishing has increased because of TikTok and the availability of free marketing, but it hasn't really changed the reading landscape as much as we think it has. Next, marketing around tropes. Booktok has led to a big change in the marketing landscape, and I have found personally that books are marketed for their tropes. I mean, usually when I'm scrolling, I come across a video that's like 10 book recommendations if you like Brother's Best Friend, or friends to lovers, or friends to strangers to enemies to lovers, or enemies to lovers, or one bed, or magical quest. I don't know. And yes, it does seem like now more than ever authors are writing for tropes, just because that is how they're being presented to us now more than ever. But that's not really the case. Tropes have always played a major role in the novel form. If we look at the first novel ever published, which is Don Quixote, that book follows the character Don Quixote, who absolutely loves reading, specifically Arthurian legends. Arthurian legends include the Knights of the Round Table, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, stories like that, not really meant to be sat down and read, but more meant to be performed. Don Quixote loves these books so much that he decides he must relive them. So he goes about reenacting all of these Arthurian tropes, such as fighting giants, having a sidekick, aka Sancho Panza, you know, getting in bar fights, all of those. So essentially the first novel ever created was just based on tropes. entirely. Fast forward 100 years or so, Gothic fiction really emerges on the scene. Gothic fiction was super popular because it was like horror and it was scary and fun and it could be read really, really quickly. Some big authors include Edgeworth, Wollstonecraft, and Radcliffe. These authors greatly inspired Austen, actually. And believe it or not, these books were entirely made up of tropes. An example of Gothic fiction is The Mysteries of Udolpho, written by Anne Radcliffe. This was one of the most popular books ever at the time, and it holds so many of those tropes. You know, it's got the wife who's locked up, it's got the dark and creepy forest, it's got the abandoned castle, secret passageways, the whole 9 yards. And this book was marketed for having those tropes. So if you read a Gothic novel with the mysterious room of paintings, and you were like, wow, that really had me on the edge of my seat, I want to pick up another one of those, you would find another Gothic novel with those same tropes. And we actually get to see this in Austen's Northanger Abbey, which includes all of these tropes and more, and discusses them in terms of absorptive reading and the way that we consume books. In this book, the main character, Catherine, joins a bit of a book club with her friend Isabella, and Isabella gets her really into Gothic fiction. Isabella isn't the best friend, but she does know her Gothic tropes. And Catherine absolutely starts to love the Gothic fiction that they're reading in this little group, and she starts to ask for books with specific tropes, and Isabella recommends them to her. So how is this any different from the marketing that we're seeing on Booktok? Moreover, tropes have always been used to communicate something bigger. These Gothic novels give their readers the language to describe their own oppression. For example, in Wollstonecraft's The Wrongs of Woman, Maria, the main character, is sent to an asylum, and the Gothic language used to describe the asylum and her time there is reflective of her time in her marriage. So these tropes help to communicate what is happening in the real world in a more easily digestible manner, and they help to give women specifically the language that they need to communicate what is going on. Back to my favorite novel of all time, Northanger Abbey, it wasn't the curtains or the scary chest in her room that were really Gothic, it was a general and the way that he treats his family that was really scary. But Catherine would not have been able to realize that or communicate that had she not read those Gothic novels. Similarly, today, tropes are still used to communicate things about our society and ourselves. I watched a YouTube video pretty recently about this phenomenon. I will try to link it down below or at least put a picture up on the screen. It was really good, and I want to expand on what she was saying a little bit more. Pretty much, we can use the tropes that we like and the novels that we read to learn more about ourselves. So, for example, if you love Friends to Lovers, that might mean that you desire a relationship that is built on friendship and showing up for one another. If you like Enemies to Lovers, maybe you struggle with pushing people away and you want a romance that will literally break through those walls. The arranged marriage trope, whether the author intends it or not, this does reflect certain aspects of our society and ongoing themes of misogyny in our world. It's the same with mafia and stalker romances. Whether we realize it or not, these novels are giving us language that we can use to realize this oppression and fight it. Finally, fast fiction. Authors have been against this for a long time, starting with Wollstonecraft, Edgeworth, Austen. Authors want you to genuinely read their work and be thorough and critique it and understand it and think critically about what they've written. And authors today are also fighting against fast fiction by encouraging critical thinking and by engaging the reader in new and exciting ways. For example, Any Trope But You literally points out the tropes that the main characters are experiencing and forces the reader to realize that yes, it is fiction, and yes, it is a lot of fun to read. Books like Thank You for Listening are rom-coms that include deeper topics that make you really think. For example, this book brings in the conversation of AI in the literary industry. All in all, I love reading. I love novels, I love romance, and I have a lot to say on this topic. I know that this video is kind of everywhere, and I really tried to sum it up in a way that made sense. And it might not have, but I'm still excited that I was able to talk about it. I'm excited to continue my research. If you have anything to add or any comments or questions, please leave them below, and I will see you next time.